Hello, Patrice Bryant here, and I am the host of While We Wait. Thank you for joining us for the relaunching of this chat. Let me just give you a little background in case this is your first time. Originally, While We Wait was designed to talk to unmarried women who were seeking to be empowered and to better themselves and reinvent themselves. And it turned out that every time we went on, that there were married people, there were couples, there were men, all types of people on. So we have made a turn and we went back, rethought it, and we're relaunching to talk to individuals who are interested in being inspired, motivated, entertained, and empowered. So thank you very much for showing up today. We are very, very, very excited that you've come back. We do have some excellent guests on today, one that has already come on and a new guest, and we are going to thrush out the topic of personal branding. We started out a few weeks ago talking about personal branding, where we gave definitions, where we talked about the purpose and why you need to do it. We came on last week with two professionals. One was a branding architect and the other was an events coordinator. And it was just a wonderful discussion. So on today, we're going to dig a little deeper. Thank you and welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Today, we are going to talk about personal branding yet again, but we're going to come from another perspective. We have two wonderful guests. We're going to do branding versus marketing. And I want to share that I know many people may say, well, I don't want a business. I don't want to be an entrepreneur. I don't want to do, things. I'm just, I work and, I am a family member. Well, I want to let you know that you still need to have a certain brand, because one thing we did learn a couple of weeks ago is that branding is, even if you're not trying to brand, you're still you are branded. So it happens intentionally as well as unintentionally. So either way, you are branded. We associated branding with your reputation, with your personality. So we're going to dig a little bit deeper today on this personal brand thing. And I assure you that it is quite necessary that you brand yourself or you become the best you that you can become. I just want to share a little bit from, I did a little research from Brian Tracy. And he said that if you want to get hired quicker, if you want to make more money, if you want to be promoted faster, then you need to have the correct brand. The correct branding is crucial. So with that said, I will bring on my guest. Let me introduce first Phadette McRae, who is the owner of Composed, and she was on last week, very knowledgeable. She's a branding architect. So let's bring Ms. Phadette on. Hello, welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Welcome back, I should say.
Thank you.
I am so glad that you're here, and I have to tell you on this platform that we got great reviews from our last time coming on While We Wait and talking about personal branding. So welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Phadette is a branding architect. I could also call her a personal identity strategist and a whole lot of other things. She's very good, and you just hear me. I sing her praises because I enjoy what she does, and she's very passionate about it. I'll also give her another plug. If you look at any of my pictures, my banner, my cover, those are just a few of the things that she's able to do, but she digs deep and she brings out what you want to express and the best way for you to express that. So thank you for that, for coming back.
My pleasure.
And being with us today. Yes. And my next guest is Barry Jackson. Barry is a marketing professional. I'll put it that way. He works with an organization who deals with world brands, but he also has his own company called bleachdigital.com. So Barry is let me tell you, this is going to be a great discussion because each individual is passionate about what they do. Let me bring Mr. Jackson, Mr. Barry L. Jackson Jr. Welcome. Unmute yourself so we can hear you. There you go.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you so much, Barry, for being on today. I am so excited just from our pre-discussion before we came on. This is going to be great. So, Barry, tell us a little bit about what you do. I gave an intro, but you tell us about what you do.
Yeah, so pretty much I am a part of an organization who manages the licensing of various brands, notable brands, worldwide brands in our particular industry that we focus on in the fashion industry. And so my job, although I've had different roles being global, regional, currently I'm focusing on regional marketing for the United States and Canada. So pretty much that would be North America and Canada. So I represent a number of brands here in the U.S. and I pretty much just make sure we, keep true to the brand identity.
Awesome. Very, very good.
In addition to that, as you mentioned, I do have my own marketing agency, which is Bleach Digital, where I provide pretty much the same services that I'm doing for the larger organization I'm a part of. I do that in my own organization, as well as some of my other skill set I'm able to utilize in my own business as well.
Awesome. And I look forward to working with you, Barry, in this capacity. So we're going to just jump into the thick of things, and I'm going to be like in between and jumping in and out because you guys are so well versed with what you talk about and what you do. So first of all, let's get an understanding of branding versus marketing.
I'll let Barry take that one.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm only going to piggyback off of what Phadette said in the last session I was watching, and she gave phenomenal information and detail in regards to branding and marketing. So pretty much branding is your identity. That is your reputation. That is what is out there when you are not present. So when you're not in the midst, that is what is there in the midst of you not being there. Again, it's your identity, it's your reputation. Now, marketing is the language that is used to communicate about your brand. So that's where you have the advertising, you have all of those different elements that go into marketing, but just know that it is the communication, it is the language that is used to promote or talk about your brand.
Awesome. Anything to add to that, Phadette?
No, nothing to add. Perfect.
Well, you did say in our discussion, though, about making sure your message was authentic.
Yes. Because and let me explain if you allow me, what I've learned is that there is also a difference between brand and branding. As Mr. Jackson said, your brand is what people say about you. I think you said in our post discussion is what you leave after you leave the room. That's your brand, your reputation. Branding is the process, the actions, what you do to either promote or control or curve the brand. So if you have a reputation, you like that reputation and you want to enhance that reputation, branding is the set of activities that you do behind the closed doors, in front of the closed doors. It's the consistent, concentrated effort that you apply to that brand so you can kind of mold that reputation. Because we all have a brand, whether we contribute to it or not. We have a brand. We've been branded.
Yes, sir.
We've been branded.
Yeah.
So don't sell a false product. And it's good to know what the presence is that you're leaving. What presence are you leaving when you're not there? What is your presence when you're not present, basically?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You want to go ahead for that?
Yeah.
I was just connecting this. Go ahead. Roll with it.
You don't want to sell wolf tickets. One of the things that in my experience that I've learned about discovering myself and as I actively participate in branding is that people can have an opinion of you that either you agree or disagree to. And that disagreement is not always about a bad reputation. There is someone can think very highly of you that you really know that behind the closed doors you haven't earned yet.
True.
And so that's something to aspire to. Even in regards to a reputation that you're not too fond of. However, that's subjective. Say it's a bad reputation. Again, whether it's earned or not, people brand you in regards to how they experience you. So some people may experience you and say, "Oh my gosh, I see you as this," and it's wonderful. It's something that you have to earn. So, and then they experience you in a way that's not so good and something that you want to either get a hold of or work to change. So I said all that to say that there are aspects of our brand that we have to acknowledge and decide how we're going to go forth in scoping and controlling or molding that brand. Again, if there's someone who has you on this high pedestal and you're thinking, oh my God, that's not me. Well, then you can work to earn that brand by consistent, controlled effort. And if there's a brand that you don't want to keep, again, it's a concentrated effort. But again, you don't want to sell wolf tickets. If somebody thinks highly of you, and you want to keep that, make sure that you don't let them down and earn that. And if it's a bad brand, again, make sure that you grab a hold of that with concentrated effort of, let me see what I can do to make sure they have a different experience of me.
So before we move forward, 'cause I want to plug this in for people who may have come in after the fact, who may not think that they need branding or to change their presentation. So let me just expound on what you already said. We are all branded. We've been branded. So I want to dig a little deeper and just say that you are branded by your credit, by social media, by where you live, by who you're attached to, by what you eat, your purchases at stores, whether it's groceries, what you purchase, and also your education and your race. And we can just go on. There's a list. So we are already branded. And if you don't think so, even your like your Stop and Shop, your grocery cards, CVS cards, your Walgreens cards, when they ask you for your, you have a card and you put your number in, they have tracking of the purchases that you make. We even experienced this on YouTube. What you Google, there's a tracking, there's a digital stamp of what you watch, what you look up. Because if you notice, when you Google something or look something up on YouTube, you begin to get ads associated with what you were looking for. So you guys can jump in on that.
I'm laughing because this is what I do. So we target you. Yes, we do target.
It's intentional.
It is intentional. We target you. You become data. You become data. And a part of the branding is you being a part of the data. And based off the data, we know who we can target. That's where you have target marketing. When we're looking for a certain demographic or a certain type of customer that we want to approach, all of those things that our Patrice Bryant mentioned are considered. Your race, your age group, your education, your career choices and options and things of that sort. The generation that you are a part of. All of that goes into when a brand or a company organization decides they want to target this consumer for their product. One other thing that I wanted to add, which is a sidebar to what Phadette was talking about in terms of branding yourself and being authentic, I wanted to share from more of the corporate side of it. One of the things that most brands do every so years, amount of years, I can't tell you the number of years, it could be 3, 4, 5, 10 years, but what they do is they make subtle changes to their logos so that the brand can be authenticated. So I know we're all familiar with the black market and things like that, buying on the black market. But what the consumer really doesn't know is, and this is for people who are in the back end dealing with the brand has modified their logo to validate that it's authentic. And so there's subtle details, even if they just move a line, even if they change the shape of the letter, even if they change, the character that they may have in their logo. It's very subtle. And to the common eye, you wouldn't be able to notice it. But the brand experts would be able to know and tell you, this is not our product. It is not authenticated. So that ties into Phadette's point of being authentic with what you deliver, even on a personal note. You want to be authentic. You want to be authentic. You want to be yourself, but be authentic. Don't push what you don't represent. You know, don't
Good stuff.
what you don't live.
And let me just stop you right there, because that's so powerful. And I know we're doing it from one end of the gamut to the other, but even in your personal life, we see it in relationships all the time. You may present as this, but then as someone gets to know you, they're like, wait a minute, who are you? And let me just pause you. I want to thank you for everyone that's coming on, who's been on. I do see a question, and for the viewers, please feel free to put your questions or your comments in the comment section. We'll certainly bring them out. We do have a question. It says, can you also address rebranding as the company or you? And this is, we're actually headed there. So we will get to that. Thank you, Michelle. And thank you for being here today. Viewers, please feel free to comment and ask questions. We will definitely pose those to our panelists, and they will give us their good answers. So again, where I left off was, we see it a lot in relationships, all types of relationships, whether it's, husband, wife, your significant others, friends. A lot of times in the beginning, when we meet someone, someone we never knew, in any type of relationship, we pose as this, and then it's like, oh my God. So even in those types of relationships, you should be authentic, and then always evolving into something greater. So I'll throw it back to you guys.
Yes. You want to go ahead with that?
Oh, no, you go ahead.
Did you want to go ahead and segue into rebranding, or you want to stay here?
We can certainly do that.
Rebranding.
And before we go there, this is something that we brought out last week, that reputations, which we'll say is serving as a type of brand, can be repaired. So, this is for empowerment, and just to get you to think about you. I believe it's Zig Ziglar who said, people, and I posted it just the other day. It says people are always looking for a person, but we should actually be looking for the best person in ourselves. So if you're going to do anything in life, if you're going to be a good grandma, a good friend, on every level, these things are relevant. So rebranding, if you don't like, we all have things that we know, okay, I need to bring this up, or I need to do this more, or I need to stop doing this. We all need to pull ourselves up into a higher place. So rebranding, take it away, Barry.
Yes. Actually, you know what, Phadette, would you mind going first? Because I think that what you're going to say has a solid foundation, and then I can complement what you say. Based off of our pre-discussion, I think that it's amazing foundation, and then I can expand off of what you say.
Certainly, thank you. I can share what has worked for me and those that I've worked with, and what I continue to do in my experience. Number one, I highly suggest a mission statement. A personal, if you're talking about individual rebranding, a personal mission statement. And I transparency, like, that wasn't the easiest thing to do, because sometimes you don't know who you are because you're discovering, or you're not quite pleased with the state that you're in right now. So number one, if you don't want to start with the mission statement, start with being honest about where you are right now. That's not the easiest thing to do when you're being very, very honest. Get by yourself, get a piece of paper. Studies show that there's a difference between typing something and writing something. When you write something down, there is a connection between our brain and the actual writing. So I would suggest, what has worked is you write it down and actually see, this is where I am right now. The things that you do like about yourself, don't like about yourself, some of the things that people have said that they've experienced, whether you agree with them or not, the experiences that people have said about you directly, indirectly, what you've heard, what you've gotten whiff of. And it doesn't mean that everything's true. And it doesn't mean that you agree with all of it. But These are how other people see you and how they have experienced you. And in some way, there is something or an aspect of you that has contributed to that experience. So that's why I would say really take stock in it. And if you're really grown and mature, you can ask people, not your friends, but those who will give you an honest opinion. So you start with where you are. Then you make a list of where you want to go. If you don't know who you want to be, you can certainly make a list of who you don't want to be, and then you can start from there. But if you do know what kind of person you want to be, and I don't mean I want to be a great teacher, I want to change the world, start with characteristics.
Yes.
Start with adjectives. I want to be kind. I want to be pleasant, gracious. I want to be giving, loving. I want to speak well. Those are the kind of things that you want to talk about. You want to become the characteristics that will guide you towards those things that you want to reach in life. So I would say actually make a list of no more than 5. We've been taught that you don't want to make this huge list because Rome wasn't conquered in a day. And sure enough, your temperament and personality and character wasn't built in a day.
Because even 3 of those can be overwhelming to deal with. Right. And that's speaking from experience. Yes. But it can be done. That's the thing. It is doable.
And once you make a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, once you make a list of that, you write that down, you look up those words. So many times I find that once I look up a word, I really didn't quite fully understand the entire definition. But once you look up, I want to be kind, you look it up and you apply it. You place it somewhere. I have a vision wall. Others suggest a vision book or a mission wall or
vision board.
I have a vision board. Thank you. That's a vision. I have a vision wall to my left right here. There is a whole wall, a vision wall. And that doesn't include just what I want to be. It's the characteristics. It's the in part, the inward person. And you put those on your wall, or you put it on your vision board or your vision book, and you put the definition and you keep it before you. And you start with practicing on yourself. If you want to be a kind person, start being kind to yourself. Not just on the outside, the inward talk, how you talk to yourself. If you want to be gracious to yourself. If you want to be pleasant and joyful, do that with yourself, because we can be our hardest critics. We can be the meanest to ourselves, and how you treat others is how you've been treating yourself. The more you do that, the more it will be manifested on the outside, the more it will be manifested on your actions. And really do practice it at home, not just when you get out, practice it at home. And you'll start to see that your emotions and your tone and how you dress at home and how you act at home will start to gravitate towards those words. And give yourself time, allow yourself time to fall down a little bit, get it right. And okay, I didn't do so good yesterday, allow yourself time. But that's a good place to start. And that's what I find that has worked for me and continues to work for me.
That's good stuff. And Barry, before I let you loose, I just want to reiterate and talk about the behind the scenes or the inward work, because it's easy to get a new hairdo. It's easy to purchase new clothing or makeup, or I'm going to get a new wardrobe. I'm going to get jewelry. I'm going to just get a makeover. But your makeover, the best makeover that you can get is dealing with what's on the inside and getting those things first. Because if you do it on the inside, it's going to show on the outside. It automatically, the change shows, enhancement shows, kindness or whatever characteristics that you're working on. It is going to be inevitable. People are going to see it, and it will be a noticeable difference. And like Phadette said, give yourself time, because you can work on it and think that, okay, I'm being kind, and you may not be there yet. So be open to what people have to say. One of the things that we've been taught is to ask someone in a higher position, well, what do you think about this? How am I being perceived? What would you say I need to enhance from my inward self, my inner self? So that's just something. Now, it takes a mature pill to do that, because you may not want to hear what they say, because a lot of times we are delusional And we think we're coming off one way, but it is just, as Phadette said, it's someone else's experience of how you're being perceived. So it's not what you think it's not your intentions. It's the reality of who you are and that presence thing again that you're leaving when you're not there. So, all right, B.
This is amazing. So, on a personal note, before I go into the corporate branding type of stuff, I wanted to share that this is just amazing information. I just recently was a part of a class where we focused on learning our temperaments and really dissecting our temperaments and finding out. And in this particular class, they kind of label it by colors as 4 colors.
You need to share that with us offline, because
yes. You can look up the material. It's called, I believe, Let's Get Wired. It is a Christian-based type of assessment, and
okay.
it is amazing. And so I just wanted to share a mode of evolution and evolving as we're talking about personal branding and growing and being aware of, you know, your attitude and things of that sort. And so it was just an amazing class because it showed me, and it's funny, you know, when you're reading something telling you about yourself, you know, because we're on this journey to discover ourselves and when you can relate. Now, you know, of course, there's a bunch of data and everything, but for the most part, I do have to say the content shared within the course and the materials provided, I have to say like 99%, like very accurate material where I can say this is really me. And it's funny, I think I'm actually wearing my color that I am that represents my personality. So my personality would be a red in terms of that material. You can look it up. Like I said, I think it's How to Get Wired or Let's Get Wired, something like that.
I'll find it.
But they have 4 colors that represent your personality. But evolving in my attitude and how I respond, you know, dealing with patience and just how I deal with other people, that is me rebranding myself. That is me killing the old, you know, image or the old brand of Barry Jackson and walking into a new person. And to our Patrice Bryant's point, it is it's a pill you have to swallow, and you have to be able to fess up and say, "I love control. I love being in control." You know? So how do you manage now? You know, not having to be in control all the time and dealing with patience and waiting. Patience. You know, while we wait. You know,
listen, we're all waiting for something.
Yeah, so a person with my temperament, according to the materials, and they're very true, we don't wait on anybody. I'm a go-getter. I go make it happen. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get it. If I can get it, I'm going to get it. I'm the person where things have to be shut down and say, you got to slow down. So for me, all the doors and everything that I can see happening and being a long-term planner, it shuts down. And it's like, no, you need to wait because that's not the path that you need to go down. You need to be patient because that's not your door. So that's where like my type of temperament, where I have to build upon that. And that's me just being transparent and sharing how I recently went through this on a personal level to evolve and rebrand myself. Now, to add from a corporate representing brand perspective, I just recently had a meeting with one of my brands who is an international brand. Most of the brands that I represent are, as we said, national, international, worldwide, big name brands. And one of the brands, they're currently going through the process of rebranding. And I just sat in a meeting, actually about two different meetings, where they really walked us through the details of how they plan to rebrand. So just to acknowledge some of the points that Phadette mentioned that you really want to focus on, and these are some of the things that they have focused on, even in the presentation of the mother brand, sharing with me how they want to tackle this new rebranding position that they want to take.
So Barry, hold on one second. To my viewers, can I ask you to please share the video, because this is excellent information on every level of what you may be wanting to become or aspire to. So please, everyone that's on, please share the video so someone else can benefit from this information. Thank you, Barry. Go ahead.
Yes, no problem. So you must evaluate yourself. That is the first thing, and this is tying into pretty much what Phadette was saying. I'm just summing up with key words. You must evaluate. You want to rebrand, you have to evaluate what it is that you want to change about your brand. You know,
Mm.
and you must be able to, again, go into what Patrice Bryant said, accept what you evaluate. And that is the focus point of change. The second thing, you're collecting data. A part of that evaluation is collecting data. You have to collect the data to see what changes you want to make, to see what areas, new territories you want to engage in. And then the third is focus on points of change, a new experience, a new presentation that you want to
Mm.
have. You have to, this is research that you must do. You just can't go out willy-nilly and, oh, I'm going to get a new. No, you need to think this thing through. You need
Thank
to
you,
Yeah.
girl.
thing through with the details. And we're talking about this on a personal level, but I'm sharing with you, this is what they do on a corporate level, dealing with brand re-imaging, brand repositioning, restructuring the brand. And then lastly, keep the end goal in mind. What is your end goal? You just can't be out here. You must be solving a problem. You must be enhancing something. You have to be enhancing. So always keep your end goal in mind. To tie back into what I was saying about the brand that recently presented to me, again, they're a big brand, but here in the US in particular, there is a certain perception of the brand here that does not meet the perception of the brand in other areas of the world. And so
Wow.
they're saying what we want to do is we want to level up this brand. We want this brand to have the same message around the world. So, granted, we understand that right now we're lacking in that area in one region, but here is our focus point. Here's how we want to make this happen. They've evaluated and they've accepted that their current, consumer that's been with them for the lifespan is a more senior customer, and that they have this certain mindset of the brand. What they want to do now is focus on the new developing customer who's now coming into their income, they're coming into their career establishment. They want to focus on the millennial customer. They want to change the message from a customer who they've had who is more seasoned now to a new customer that they can keep and have for the lifespan of their existence potentially, as long as the experience is good and they're living, breathing, loving the brand. So that's a little insight on a discussion that I just had, and they're saying we want to target this customer, this person, this type of individual. This is what we want. And we want them to look at our brand as their luxury brand. We want them to perceive our brand as some of the high-end brands that you guys know, Chanel, all of these other high-end brands. And going to the vision board. Not only did they tell us where they want to go, they showed us how they want to play. They showed us, the brands that they want to play with. They showed us the wholesalers that they want to be in. They're currently not in those wholesalers, but they want to approach and be in those channels. Visually, they showed us that. And they have their steps and their strategy and how they're making that happen. So that's to give you a little insight quickly on some of the points that Phadette touched on.
So what I hear you saying, I want to jump in right here because I'm bringing it back to the personal again.
Yes,
what
ma'am.
I hear you saying is you can identify what level of success you want to be or go to and implement these things to get there. So
Absolutely.
whatever that is that you have identified, because success looks different to everyone. So you can actually target where you want to go or where you want to be or what you want to be and how you want to be it.
Absolutely. You can target it and you can measure it. It's measurable. It is
Okay.
measurable.
Success is measurable.
This is measurable. So that's where, your strategy comes in. You have your three, steps, whatever, your end goal is, you start implementing that. And you make sure you're authentic to the strategy, to the message that you want to send. It must be consistent across the board. And that is what their concern is with this brand, is that this is, the perception that we have in other parts of the world. And, we understand that the US is a different customer, but we want to now target, a new person and give them the message that we want them to live by in regards to our brand. So we've accepted that, you know, our customers that we've had currently, they have a certain perception. We accept that. We will continue to cater to them, but we want to elevate our brand. We want to rebrand. We want to evolve. And how they do that is they do that by getting a new customer. Again, like I said, millennials, the Gen Zs, and, you know, all of those younger generations who are now coming into their establishment of finances and education and you know, what represents them as a person, their personal brand. And
so rebranding also rebranding is also needed to remain or to become relevant.
absolutely, absolutely, and that is exactly what they're doing. They're making sure that they stay relevant.
Go ahead, Phadette. You got something? You got something?
No,
What you
I was
got?
just nodding.
Look, I'm taking notes. I got a composition book. For everyone that came on, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate every viewer. We're talking again about personal branding, and we're just threshing it out. This is our last time talking about personal branding. It's not finished because it can go on and on and on, but it's so needed in our everyday life. And Barry Jackson is here. He's giving us the perspective from a corporate view. That is a branding architect. So we're kind of tying the two worlds together and everything in between. So I just want to say to you guys, because I did my research from Brian Tracy. He says, and I quote, "Everything counts. Everything either builds your brand or destroys it." He gave 8 laws of branding, and you guys can brush this out as you so desire. Number 1, the first law of branding, he said, is specialization. The second law is leadership. That's your knowledge and being skillful. Number 3 is personality/attitude. 4 is distinctiveness. What makes you unique? What is your signature? 5 is visibility, which goes along with your consistency. 6 is utility, which is behavior behind closed doors. You already touched on that one. 7 is persistence, and 8 is goodwill. So what do any of those things mean to you? Phadette.
You want to go ahead with that?
Yeah, I'm gonna tap into persistence. When it comes to rebranding, in my personal experience, persistence is so highly necessary. Again, I believe I stated this before, that when you are honest with yourself and you understand where you are right now, where you want to go can sometimes seem a great distance, or in your journey, in your rebranding, you may not always be successful. There are, I have one specific, there are a couple of things on my vision wall, but there's one specifically that I have been working on since 2018. And I see the strides. However, when you are working to build character and integrity and things of that nature, those things take, again, consistent, concentrated effort. There's a word that I prefer not to use in my vocabulary, because when I use it, it sends a signal, and that word is called hard. And the reason why I use that is because I believe most people mislabel something as being hard because it just takes consistent, concentrated effort. So It doesn't mean it's hard. It's just that you have to be consistent and you have to be deliberate. And sometimes with certain things and certain aspects of our nature and our character and our habits, we have to unpack those habits. So if you have one thing that you are working on, here's a way to describe it. We've all cleaned out our closets before.
Yes.
You decide that you just want to clean out the closet. The first thing you have to do is get the stuff, everything out. You have to take everything out of the closet. When you are doing a thorough cleaning, you have to take everything out. And you start to discover, well, when did I have that dress in there? And why is those shoes in there from 20 years ago? And how did that thing get underneath the thing? And why is this hanger there? And how did that get up there? And oh my gosh, Susie left that here when she visited 10 years ago. You start to discover all these things that you did not know were in there. And then once you unpack everything and unload everything from the closet, then you have to sort through it. What do I want to keep? What's been beneficial? That, and then you have to clean out the closet before you put the stuff back in there. And then you have to put new stuff in there when the stuff that you get. That's a
It's
whole
work.
process. So
It's work.
think of that as a person. Okay, I want to get rid of some stuff, but I got to clean everything out. I got to look at it. I got to unpack it. And then I got to clean up what's in there so I can make room for the stuff that I want to put in there. It's a process. It's not just 1 week, 1 day, even
Sure.
1 year. It's a consistent. And then our pastor says it's like peeling back an onion. We're layers. We're not
Layers.
dimensional people. It's a layer to it. There's more than one layer to being kind. There's more than one layer to being patient. There are many layers. So if you decide that you want to be a kind person, okay, you've conquered being kind to yourself. Now here's another level of kindness, another dimension and level of kindness. So persistent, be patient with yourself, be consistent, and appreciate the different levels and layers and dimensions of that character that you're working to.
And celebrate each victory. That you have to celebrate. When you see it in you, you have to celebrate it. You have to do that for yourself.
That's a good one.
I want to add and say pretty much all of the different components that our Patrice Bryant mentioned, they all sum up to the experience, which becomes the main thing. That's the result, is the experience. So whether it's on a personal level or you're dealing with your actual, a brand or a company, it's the experience that you want to have being engaged with your brand, and then the end consumer engaging with your brand. Again, personal, you being the person, the brand, the experience that you want to have when you're engaging, and then on the other end, those who engage with you, the experience that they have with you. Again, saying that it's about experience. One of the things is, your personal brand, when you enter a room, you need to have presence. You need to have presence. That is something that sets the tone about your brand. That is an experience. When you bring presence, it is a level of experience to inquire about. People want to know more about you. You become, like a target. I want to know what they do. I want to know, what they're about, what they're a part of. Presence brings that when you enter into a room. Another thing I kind of wanted to say about experience is when you are having a good experience from a customer standpoint, you become a loyal customer. You become a loyalist. Like you develop a support system. You develop a fan base. You develop free ambassadors, so to speak.
Give us an example of your experience. One of your experiences as a consumer, even.
Well, yeah. So, but you know what? What I want to say is, Phadette had touched on something in the last session. I want to piggyback on that, which is a personal experience of me being a brand ambassador for another brand. So, or a number of brands. I am very big on customer service in my experience. Whether I'm eating, most people know I love to eat. I have a palette of eating at different cultural restaurants. Background cultures of foods. I that's just me. Like I'm cultured in that way. So when I go, I'm really going for the experience. But one of the things that Phadette had touched on in terms of her experience was, we'll use this company, Sprint. I have Sprint. And Phadette called out in the last session. We know there are certain areas where Sprint has a drop call. You know what? But guess what? I am a loyalist to Sprint. You want to know why? Because I've seen Sprint evolve to having amazing customer service. Whenever I have needed Sprint to come through with me in regards to my bill or anything with my plan or anything, the customer service has been exceptional. For me, that is humongous. And for me, I am able to offer grace to Sprint in terms of their service dropping every blue moon here and there, because I value customer service.
Yes.
You being able to give me a break on my bill and move this is bigger to me than me just dropping a call, for a quick second, and I can get back on the call once I get out the area. For me, I value that. Another thing that I want to share was I was sharing how I became a loyalist to Spotify. Spotify was one of the first to do streaming. And then Apple came along and they started the whole streaming thing and got on board. And so I was sharing how I was a loyalist to Spotify, and I still am a loyalist to Spotify. Now I do have Apple too, but I am committed and loyal to Spotify because of my first experience with Spotify. So now what I did was I did expand and I got Apple too, but I'm not letting Spotify go. I had my first amazing experience with streaming and everything with Spotify. I'm there. I'm loyal. I'm ambassador. When I speak about anything music, I mention Spotify first before I mention Apple. Now, when it comes to Apple, I have a ton of Apple products. So now in terms of their devices, I'm an Apple ambassador. Now, their music, I'm a Spotify ambassador. When it comes to Apple's products and devices, I'll tell you in a minute. Get Apple. I love Apple. Got the iPad. Got the little iTouch. The first one that they had. I think I had like 2 or 3 iPads. The MacBook. Just a bunch of Apple, devices. So there they have me as a free ambassador. A free ambassador is the most amazing thing that you can have, one for your personal and your company, because they will spread the word of their experience to another consumer. And we all know people love word of mouth. People love to vibe off of other people's experiences and what they've had. So that is the most free, lucrative, authentic type of marketing that you can have. Is a customer who has had an amazing experience with your brand. They become a free ambassador. And like I said, like myself, when I have an amazing experience, I'm a loyalist. I will go hard for you.
Yes, it's like you're doing right now. I ain't mad at you. I'm not mad at you. So we're coming down to the end. Do either of you have any parting words before we finish up, before we wrap this up?
I do. Just to reiterate, because Barry just touched on it, we're all branded, whether we have actively or if we are aware of it, we all have been branded. Again, it is what people say about you when you leave the room, and we already have brand ambassadors. We just may not know who they are and what they're saying, but we have brand ambassadors. We have been branded. So it is up to us to take an active participation in our branding and what's said. And again, everyone can experience this differently. It doesn't mean that everybody's experience is true, because we all have our filters. But if we just take an active participation in our branding, give ourselves time, and really be consistent, take consistent, concentrated effort in our branding. And I want to stress a mission statement. It's like a roadmap. You need a mission statement.
Yeah. I want to add, make sure you're evolving and you stay relevant. That is so important. And I could give you some scenarios, business scenarios. When the touch phone started, BlackBerry was the #1 phone device during that time.
Wow, yeah.
Before Apple even took over with the, touch phone. It was about BlackBerry. BlackBerry, and I had a BlackBerry. It was amazing. I loved my BlackBerry. I was in college at the time. I used to type my papers. It was amazing. I still think they had one of the best keyboards of, the phone so far. BlackBerry was amazing, but they failed to stay relevant. They failed to evolve. And with that, look at where we are today.
Yeah.
So that's just an example. Personally, as well as your business, you must stay relevant. You're seasoned, you've been in the game, you can't get comfortable there. You have to evolve. You should always be evolving. It should always be evolving. And I'll just call it out. It doesn't have to be age specific. Oh, that's for the young people. Oh, I put my time. No, you need to be relevant. You need to be relevant. You should always be evolving. And I like to I challenge, honestly, senior people in that area, and I do it respectfully. But I just feel that you should always be evolving. Even if you have acquired a certain knowledge in your field, you should dabble in a little something else so that you can speak to it in a different manner. and you can advise with your experience in a different way, because now you become relatable to someone who may not have walked in your level of experience. So by you evolving and staying relevant, you now bridge the gap of having a conversation with someone who may not be on your level.
Wonderful.
But they can comprehend and understand, when you speak a little bit on their level. And then now, guess what? There's a connection there. We bridge the gap of generational discord.
Bridging the gap. That's good.
Bridge the gap. That's one of my models for something that I'm working on. But yeah, bridging the gap. But yes, so I say stay relevant and always be evolving.
Awesome.
And please remember that social media, especially during this time, since we're using it so much in its main means of communication, that can also impact your reputation.
Absolutely.
What you're saying on Facebook and on Twitter and other social media presence that you may use, that's also impacting your brand and your branding.
Oh,
and people are judging and branding you by what you're saying on social media. So just to keep that in mind as well.
For sure. Let me tell you. I mean, if you don't already know, people are nosy.
Digital stamps.
They want to be your friend just to know what you're saying, not necessarily to be your friend. So I back Phadette, be mindful of what you post, because we often just self-focus on ourselves. But whatever you are connected to, you also represent that.
Hey.
So you can't forget that. You represent that. I'm also a mentor who is a part of an organization where I give my time and I develop inner city young men. I am a representation of that company organization when I'm doing everything else that I'm doing. So I work very hard to make sure that I'm living up to the things that I'm associated with and that I'm a part of, as well as my own personal brand. So just keep that in mind. You're a part of certain organizations and you represent, certain things. You need to make sure that your presentation aligns with that, because again, it can backfire on you. You can lose all of your opportunities. If you have streams of wealth attached to those things, guess what? Your stream can be touched. If you have influence and contacts, guess what? It can be touched. I've seen this stuff happen in corporate where brands have disconnected from individuals and they've lost endorsement deals. They've lost income. They've lost their voice. They've lost influence. So power. You don't want that to happen. So just keep those things in mind. Like, elevate yourself. Elevate your thinking. It's not just you. Whatever you're connected to, you represent that as well.
Very powerful.
Absolutely. I've got like 2 minutes, but for that, I think it's necessary. Phadette and I used to be in management at Target when they first opened in Stanford. Phadette, please share just that part of being attached to a brand that you know about.
There is a term that Target used to use. There was a group of us that worked at Target, and at that time I worked in their HR department and I assisted with new employee orientation. I don't recall the term, but in their employee handbook, and one of the statements that you had to sign and acknowledge is about association and reputation. So loosely put, Target stated in writing, we understand that during the work hours, you're an employee of Target. However, as an employee and a representative of Target, your conduct, even when you're not working from 9 to 5 or your set hours, still impacts us. Should you do something that we feel is disreputable and that impacts our reputation, we have the right to fire you if we feel that your conduct impacts our reputation. That's Target.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we don't have time to delve deeper, but we could even go into the Disney brand. Listen, it's for real. So we have to take these things to our personal lives and see. And I believe I talked about that during our first time talking about personal branding, about who you're attached to. There's a higher brand that you're attached to. And you have to govern yourself accordingly so you can keep reaping the benefits of being connected to that higher brand. But with that said, this has been absolutely empowering. And yes, sir.
Can I add one more point?
Absolutely.
I'm just feeling it. If you have any young viewers who are on here watching, because I believe that what is being shared is not just a certain, I believe that your target, a young person could come across this. what you're doing on social media matters.
Say that.
It matters. How you express someone is watching you and determining if they will open the door for opportunity for you or connect you with someone who can enhance you and establish you. So, just be mindful of that, because I know, as younger one, millennials and younger, we're very opinionated and with what we say, but that's a good thing. But be mindful of how you opinionate. Be mindful of the things you comment on. Be mindful of the things that you post, because again, I say it can come back and backfire you on you, and you don't want that to be the cause of you not moving forward and elevating and getting to the next level that you see yourself being at.
Wow.
You do not want to miss your opportunity because of a 1 second or 1 time mess up.
Yeah.
So that's a major wisdom
Yes.
for everybody.
Yes.
Right. And if you got itchy fingers, look, type it and then delete it.
Think about it. I would have to say, you could even do something. Think of someone that you really look up to, and before you type it, say, what would they think about me if I did this?
Right.
So anyway, this has been absolutely empowering, and that's what While We Wait is all about. All of us are waiting for something. We're not stagnant, we're not standing still, but we're all waiting for something. So While We Wait is all about inspiration, motivation, and empowerment. I thank you, everyone, all of the viewers. I thank you for stopping in, for the questions, for the comments. I am so encouraged. This is wonderful. We'll be back on now every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. I want to just give another plug for my 2 panelists, Phadette McRae, who is the owner and the branding architect of Composed Communications at gmail.com is where you can reach her. The business is Composed, and how to reach her is by email, composed with a D, communications at gmail.com. Phone number is area code 203-449-7032. And you don't have to be in Connecticut to use her, because we have Cash App and other electronic ways of payment. And she's amazing at what she does. We also have Barry L. Jackson Jr., who is a marketing professional. His business is called Bleej. That's BLEEJ Digital. And you can find him at his website, www.bleejdigital.com. And I will go back and put this in the comments. And if you have questions about anything that we've discussed, you can certainly reach out to them. If you want their services, you can certainly reach out to them. And I'm certain, I guarantee that you'll be a pleased customer, and then you can be a brand ambassador for them. I am already. So let me thank both of you for coming on. They'll be back really soon. We have some things lined up, and it is all about empowerment. And if I can say anything, during this semi-downtime, and I keep saying it, this is an excellent time to get something under your belt. Rebuild your brand or build your brand, because when you come out of COVID, or when we come out of COVID, there are going to be great opportunities even within COVID, and you want to have the right personality, the right attitude, the right brand, the right presentation. So I'm going to let my panelists go at this time. I thank you all again for coming on.
Thank you so much.
And we will see you really, really, really soon.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So I just want to wrap it up. Thank you guys for stopping in. And I just want to, as I did my research, I just want to leave some parting words. Brian Tracy says, when people hear your name, what words do you want them to associate with you? And how can I be better today than I was yesterday? That's what personal branding is all about. And I hope you've enjoyed this time. So thank you. I've enjoyed it. It's been very, very good. I hope you'll come back next Thursday. We'll be on every Thursday at 4:30 on YouTube as well as on Facebook. We are streaming live. This is great. Remember, stay strong, stay wise, and keep enhancing your life. Have a great rest of your evening.
I live here with my life. I stay strong, I stay wise. I live here my life. I stay strong.